Oh,
on
go.
the deck.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, you are so funny. Today, we welcome to On the Deck, brought to you by KPFA Radio 94.1 FM. As you can see, we are working remotely today, so we are not actually literally on the deck at the station. But that's
Yeah.
because Antonio is on a deck.
Because I am on Ada, California. So
Where are you?
that's where I am at. I'm in I think I'm saying it right. Arcata of
Y-
Eureka. So
Yeah, I think
this
it's
is the
Arcata.
deck that I'm on.
Yeah. And you can't really see
Yeah.
it because I had to close my curtains. Otherwise, it would be like blasted out by like light. Here, I'll show you.
Mm.
See that? That was too much
Well,
light.
wait,
So,
hold
but
on.
that's
Let me
actually
see.
that's my little balcony outside. Here I'm at home. But
Oh.
we're here. Welcome to On the Deck. My name is mikO Tolliver. You can find me around the internet at mikO Tolliver. There's two
Mm-hmm.
L's in there. I want everybody to know that. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I'm also joined by our other host,
Mm.
interim general manager
Yes.
Antonio Ortiz.
Yes. And you can
Yes.
find me someplace. I'm in the internets, but I'm here camera wise
Yeah, in Arcata. Yes,
in
broadcasting from
Arcata.
Arcata.
Yeah.
Welcome though to On the Deck, where we give you updates
Mm-hmm.
that happened around the station. And again, at any point in
Mm.
time, we mention a show or something that you like, you can check out the text in the post, and you will find a link to that show. But you can also visit kpfa.org and find more information there. All right, are you ready to
Mm-hmm.
get into it, Antonio?
Let us get into it for
Okay. Great. Let's get into it. All right. First, we are going to start with Upfront. That is weekdays at 7 a.m. It is hosted by Brian Edwards Teegert. And it's a great show, has local news. Do they do like
Mm-hmm.
national news too on there? Yeah, they do, because they do all kinds of it, but it's a news show. So
Well, the
it's an
format's
informative.
changing. We're gonna have to show the format has changed because now that Law and Disorder is happening at 8 o'clock in the morning, it was more for more national content and one for local content. So I think with the differences, but I think it's gonna be more local.
Okay. All right. All right. So then we have
That's
Upfront.
that's
That's his interpretation of it, right?
my
Okay.
interpretation.
All right, that's
Yeah.
fine. All right. Well, we have Upfront, which is hosted by Brian Edwards Teekert, weekdays at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And this past week, some good information. Let's see. So they were on there. Did you know that Kaiser in Oakland, they've been doing a strike? So the NUHW mental health care workers at Kaiser began an indefinite strike, and they began that last week. So on their show, they had Ilana Marcucci-Morris, who is a therapist who works for Kaiser. She joined them to discuss kind of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on there. That's pretty good. And a strike. Ooh, yikes, a strike. I don't want Kaiser to
Mm-hmm.
be on strike because, I feel like, isn't that our healthcare plan? We don't want to.
Yeah, because you need services.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if something happens, I'm like, I'm feeling cray. They on strike. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is a horrible time. So that is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching the news and they were just like, oh yeah, the hospital's going on strike. I'm like, ooh, that's really not good. So I hope that
Mm-hmm.
they're able to work that out. But in the meantime, you can tune into Upfront and check out that
Mm-hmm.
show and find out what's going on there. And they also had John Pfeffer, who is the director of foreign policy in Focus, who discussed more news from Russia's war in Ukraine. I just heard that we've reached 6 months that the war has been going on in Ukraine. I was like, wow, legit, for real, 6 months has been. And I remember when they announced it. All right, Russia started bombing
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, and like here we are, 6 months later, still paying hecka high gas prices. But yeah, so again, so we'll see. I guess then that makes it the
Mm-hmm.
international news at that point.
Yeah.
But then they also had on Dr. John Schwartzberg, who's a clinical professor of infectious diseases at UC Berkeley School of Public Health,
Mm-hmm.
answering listener questions on COVID. So they've been kind of keeping the rundown on
Mm-hmm.
like COVID and stuff. I hope that they were also there kind of giving the rundown on monkeypox, which I just want to say, by the way, that I've officially decided that I'm going to take a break from like dating, just because I'm just like, I'm afraid of the monkeypox. And so, but listen to this,
Yeah.
listen to this. Here's my real reason. Yeah, here's my real reason. So when we had like Pride, and then like a month later, all the like numbers went hecka high in like the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what's getting ready to happen
Yeah.
this upcoming weekend? Guess what's going to start this coming weekend?
I don't know what's happening this weekend.
Burning Man.
Oh,
So that
Burning Man.
means,
Okay.
yes. So if we've reached the end of August, and it's going to be Burning Man. And then I'm like, okay, people like to go cray cray at Burning Man. So I feel like in the next month, in order for me to like go back out there and try to find love again, I need to be like, I'm going to need a vaccine because I want to see how these numbers change. I'm legit scared of it because I feel like the process is going the exact same way that it was with COVID. It's nothing to worry about. It's fine. Then all of a sudden, we got a few numbers, but it's still nothing to worry about. It's fine. It's mostly just these communities. And then next thing they go, there are actually though cases in every single state in the United States. And then there's like some event that happens and now the numbers blow up. So I'm like, with Burning Man coming, no.
Yeah. Well, either way, you got to be careful, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be, and these are the ones that are on top of our minds at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something to be, skin to skin contact. That's one thing. Also, what it's airborne for COVID. I guess the other, because I'm going to be going kayaking and I'm going to be wearing a wetsuit. And so that's why I'm wearing this wetsuit that somebody had monkeypox beforehand. It is going to be with learning to just let go.
Yeah. I don't know. Here, hold on. So we've got a comment in the chat.
Yeah.
We got a comment in the chat from Broccoli456 that says, now then mush. What does that mean?
Mush. I don't know. We're going to have to ask Broccoli456 to let us know what that means.
Yeah. Well, thanks for commenting, Broccoli456, and continue to follow us and subscribe, and just that we're responding to us. But yeah.
Maybe they're saying that our content is mush right now. Move on.
All right. What's next, Antonio?
All right. So and what they did last week. So Against the Grain is a show that we have at not 11 o'clock, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays on 94.1 FM. You could also listen to them over our website at kpfa.org on the in the archives section. But of August, they had historian Raymond Craib, I hope I'm saying that right, who discussed all of our utopian equivalents, dreaming up floating cities on the high seas and other private by authoritarian power. So utopias aren't unique to the left. Myriad ways for a world without fetters on private property. In one, Michael Tolliver, with a motley group of associates ranging from English lords to the soldiers of fortune, successively attempted to set up a capitalist paradise in the South Pacific and Caribbean. They talked about on the 15th. Utopias.
Okay. The utopias. I think I mentioned this to you right before we started, that if they're going to be building like city, like utopias of like, I like this idea of them building kind of like cities on water. Like I'm almost thinking like, you remember that movie Waterworld, where it's like they had that whole city, but it was like connected together, but the houses were floating, not floating away. They were connected. So it was like whole blocks and stuff. Like they have kind of stuff like that now. In fact, I want to say like, they're trying to build stuff down like that down in like the Caribbean and in Florida and stuff like that, because they are having like hardcore like sea rise levels. But once on the deck blows up and we become like super famous and we're all like super rich, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to get that house. Then I, as a Bay Area girl, of course, my dream is like, okay, we're gonna go into the hills. Oh yeah, we're gonna be deep into all the way up. I'm like that Drake song. But I'm also just like, okay, but just in case, because I'm like, we get earthquakes here and we also get fires here too. So I'm just like, maybe I should look into that floating community. Would you get a floating house? Would you be a part of the floating utopia?
You mean be on a boat? Sure.
But I mean,
you're thinking about like, Mexico City used to be on barges, but it was a floating city. Back in the day, it was built on a lake. Yeah, so people used to do that. Would I do it? Possibly. I don't know. I probably would get sick with it moving all the time with the tides, right? Seasick. I've never been on.
I dated a guy once who lived on a boat.
Didn't
came
you
over
feel
my house a lot.
sick on the? Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I mean, it was cool. Later, someone of my friends were just like, "Oh yeah, so he probably wasn't really committed." And I was like, "What does that mean?" They're like, "Yeah, the guy who
Mhm.
lives on the boat, he's not trying to be in a serious relationship." So
Mhm.
now that's the association I make when I like meet someone and they're just like, "Yeah, I live on a
Mhm.
boat." It's not as cool anymore because I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's not gonna go anywhere." But I mean, it was cool.
Mm.
It was small.
Interesting. I mean, I
Um,
like a boat. It might be
he
hard though. It's a small
he
space.
Well, he lived in it during, I think it was during winter too, so it was like
Mhm.
raining and stuff, and so I think that was part of the reason why he was kind of coming over more because he was just like, yeah, it's like been raining a lot, so like my house has been moving. It's just like swaying in the water.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Boats are they're actually really expensive. It's like constant upkeep because it
No,
sits in the
totally.
water.
Yeah. And the ocean is a great to really, what is it? Not degrade it. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear on it.
Yeah, the motion in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. Motion in the ocean. So, I like how you said earlier, if we blow up on YouTube and we're gonna have millions of dollars, we'll see when that happens.
That's gonna happen. I manifest. I spoke that into
Okay.
existence. So go ahead and mark that August 23rd. So like 5 years from now, when we go like, when did this happen? Oh, that's right. She said it. I'm like, yeah, I said it.
Manifested it. Okay.
Mhm. All right.
So
Next, we have our
on to the
Area
next.
94.1 podcast. Remember that Area 94.1 is our online
Mm-hmm.
only section here at KPFA. So it's interviews that we don't have on the radio. You can only listen to them online. And we've got 2 new editions this week. And it's really great. We've been having like regular editions every week. And starting first with Radio Wilinsky, which is hosted by Richard Wilinsky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I actually just did. I just worked with, because I do the social media here. I'm the social media rep. And so I have to gather the content and help people create content around here in the show host, and then I put it out. So I just did a nice little like Zoom interview with Richard Wilinsky, who has been doing interviews and stuff, I guess, since the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about all the famous like authors that he's interviewed and stuff. He told me how even like Salman Rushdie, who was the guy who just got like stabbed like a week ago, he like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He was telling me how he's interviewed Margaret Atwood 8 times over the course of his career, and that's the lady who wrote The Handmaid's Tale. He was also giving me a rundown of like some like authors who have been canceled, even though he didn't like that term. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure everybody knows that. But he doesn't like that when people happen. But yeah, like, and then we just kind of had like some great like book recommendations. So that was pretty fun. That's, I would say, kind of one of the perks of this job, to like kind of get to talk to these like kind of like famous hosts who have been in the game for like decades, who have like access to all these people, and they kind of just like, sometimes I feel like I get my own personal little radio show here at the station when I'm like doing stuff or working with them. But on Radio Wilinsky, for this past week, he just uploaded a new interview, and that it was actually recorded back in May 2003. I'm sorry, May 2000. It was on May 3rd in 2000 in the KPFA studios, and it was with Joyce Carol Oates, who is the author of Blonde. And Joyce Carol Oates, author of Blonde, he was in conversation with Richard Wilinsky and Richard A. Lupoff. And in that wide-ranging interview, she discussed her work on the retelling of the life of Marilyn Monroe. Oh my goodness, there's about to be a film coming out on Netflix. You're a Netflixer. I've been to your house. Do you Netflix?
Yeah.
Do you stream? Do you binge?
Sure, I do. Every once in a while, binge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have been waiting all
There's
summer
a
for this
series
one.
of, yeah.
Was a series of what?
Do you watch? Because you were going to tell me about a series that I should watch, right?
Well, I don't know if it's a series. It's a new movie. It's going to be about Marilyn Monroe. The thing is, the big hype about it is that it's NC-17.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully it's good.
Don't act excited or anything. You're just like,
I think all those ratings, I mean, it makes sense why they would have it, but seeing like, it doesn't necessarily mean that the movie's going to be good, right? It just means it's going to have racy content.
Yeah, that's my style though. I like the racy content. In fact, there are like network shows
Yeah.
that are on like CBS and like ABC, which do their thing, whatever. But there are a lot of times people say, "Oh my goodness, do you watch this drama? Do you watch this show? It's so good." And my like first reaction is like, "Those network shows they're not hard enough for me."
Okay. So interesting.
I like the cable. I just feel like
Yeah.
I want something to be more like real life, and real life is R-rated. So
I don't know. Sometimes sometimes real life is very bland and vanilla
not my life.
and boring. Some people, I guess. Anyways, yeah. Well, let me know when you see that. Let me know what you think about that, and then we can go. It's. I guess it depends on the story and how they're telling the story. Like it's just trying to get attention. But there are stories where because it's part of telling that story more effectively. So I guess that's where I'm rude. So let's move. Yeah.
Okay, so paraphrase, you're not fazed by that. So I will give you the updates when I watch it.
Yes, do that.
Well, anyway, yeah.
All
So
right.
Richard Wilinsky did that, yeah, and did that interview with Joyce Carol Oates, and they were telling the life of Marilyn Monroe, which is there's going to be a new film with Ana de Armas. It's going to be NC-17. Yeah, so check that out on Area 94.1. And I believe there was something else on Area 94.1 you wanted to tell us about, Antonio.
Yes. Also on Area 90, if you were listening to us last week, you knew that on August 15th, we launched a new show, and our producer, Jesse Strauss. It's called Law and Disorder, and that plays on 8 a.m., 8 to 9 a.m. And they also post a podcast on Area 94.1 they have on their show. And this podcast that you'll look on Area 94.1, Dr. Ayodele Nzinga, and it's Oakland's poet laureate and an arts and culture theoretician working at the intersections of cultural production, community development, and community wealth formation in marginalized communities. So Nzinga holds a master's in fine arts and doctorate of philosophy in transformative education and change. Their Area 94.1 podcast, and if you want to check out more about Ayodele Nzinga, you can check her out ayodelenzinga.com. And then also you can follow her on Twitter. She's located at Wordslanger. I think it's Wordslanger. See that on the links that mikO is going to provide. Listen to the podcast with Ayodele Nzinga on Area 94.1. I guess below or in the description.
Yeah, we put all the posts the information in the post as we are doing our live stream here. So you can just go ahead and check the post for those links, and you can always go to kpfa.org. And we just want to remind you that here on the deck, we are actually not at the station today. We are broadcasting remotely. I'm here. Actually, I'm kind of here at home, and Antonio is on the deck in Arcata. So just in case if you maybe saw his visual clip out just for a second or so, and we were able to hear your audio too. So, but just just in case you felt like visually he froze for a second, Antonio is all the way up in Arcata.
Yeah, over here, but making it happen.
I know, it's dope because. Hey, we fresh. Our interim general manager here with me every week to give you updates on the station. Yeah. And with that, it is time to do our donor highlights. So, highlighting a donor for the week, we want to say thank you to Mischa from Ridgewood, New York, for donating to the station. I want to remind you that KPFA is 100% listener supported. So we operate from donations and we are community powered. And we just want to, we take the time to recognize people who give to the station, and we want to say thank you. So thank you, Mischa. And with that, I want to remind everybody to follow us on social media. That's Facebook at KPFA 94.1 or Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at KPF Radio. Like our post, share our post, comment on our post. You can also comment in the chat, just like, who was it? Broccoli456 did just a second ago. And as you see, if if you're commenting during the live chat, we will respond. We like to do that. And with that, we want to remind you that we will be back every Tuesday. We do the live stream. We do the weekly recap. So we will be back next week. And we just want to say, follow or go visit kpfa.org. And thank you for tuning in. Antonio, it was so great to see you. I wish I was up there in Arcata. It looks really, really nice. It's all green.
A lot of trees, a lot of redwoods. So I'm loving it up here, but it's going to be
that aren't on fire. That's the real plus. It's like nice. It's safe up there. It's nothing that we, knock on wood, we haven't had crazy like fires this year.
There is a fire by Willow Creek, which is about an hour away. Fine, but we'll see how much longer it can last. So hopefully, the fire by the time we go camping this weekend. So
perfect. I think that's great. I'm hoping you're having a good time.
I am having a great time.
Yeah,
totally. On the deck camping, but that might be hard because we'd have to have internet at a campsite.
Well, I mean, I have hotspots on my phone, so it's really just a matter of making sure we get signal on the on the phone, and then we can have interwebs.
Yeah, if we did it on the deck camping, usually I go to places that only have. I don't know how we would do that. We would have to record it ahead of time and then broadcast it later.
No, we'd have to set up a tour. We'd have to like find locations we could go to first. Because now it's so funny that you say that. And just a minute ago, we were talking about manifesting. I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to do some more on the decks. No, seriously, I would love to do some more on the deck segments. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we go to the other Pacifica radio stations and we'll be all like, oh, yeah, we're here in New York, here in LA, here in Chicago. Like, that's just like in the, continental US, but I'm down to go to like Hawaii and find a deck there, or like South America and find a deck there. That's how committed I am to this job. So I just want you to know.
Well, once we make the millions and millions and millions, then who knows? That might be the case.
Not might. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Bomb.
Yeah.
All right. So. I will see you guys next week. So we are going to log off now and we will be back next week. Thank you for tuning in to On the Deck. Bye.
Bye, everybody.